like
people.
It like started off with him getting hate, and
yeah,
then...
no, like, and I feel like in the middle there, like they started pushing out stuff against. I don't know if we're recording.
I'm recording, and I could just place this wherever. So if we want to start with the drama,
wait, I don't know. What do we start with?
We should probably start with the intro.
I'm like, oh my god, yeah. So scene 7 of the movie is insane.
Hello, welcome to a Work in Progress Movie Podcast. This is Isaiah, back with a brand new setup for something that should have been started up again a long time ago. But today, I'm going to be talking It Ends With Us with my favorite movie buddy, Jaci. Welcome her back.
Hello, I'm happy to be back. Welcome to 2024.
I know, I am.
August of 2024.
It's like halfway done with 2024.
It's like actually more than halfway. We're in the final quarter.
You know, we're just at that point where it's like, oh wait, we're 2024, about to hit 2025, and we just realized we were in 2024. So
no kidding, no, literally.
Anyways, so what is your history with this story? Because I have not read the book.
Okay, so fun fact, this book, I read it back in like 2019. I think, or maybe 2020, somewhere around that era. It's probably 2020. And it's like the first book that got me back into reading.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good book for that reason. Now looking back, I also reread it or re-listened to it on audiobook before watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Probably shouldn't have done that. Do not recommend doing that. Literally, we had movie tickets for 7 p.m. And at 8 a.m., I started the audiobook and listened to it on like 1.5 speed so that I could refresh myself for the movie. But yeah, I read it. Even when I first read it way back when, I finished it like in one sitting. It's a pretty what's the word? Like an enticing book. Like it keeps you going.
Mm-hmm.
I will say when I read it, I did not know it was going to be about domestic violence. That was a shock. Could not tell. I thought it was just going to be like a little love triangle, cute little love triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Was not cute, but it was a really good book. It opened me up to other Colleen Hoover books. I know Colleen Hoover's kind of controversial now. And now that I've read more books, I'm like, okay, her writing's not like the best, but it is such a good, there's such cute little stories. Not this one. This is not cute, but she's a good writer. She does write like enticing work. So
mm-hmm.
I liked it. I really liked the book. I think that it is one of those books where you finish reading it and you're just like, you sit with it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really excited when I saw that they were making a movie.
Yeah, I like the first time I ever heard about the book was when I heard the announcement of the movie, because that's
Mm-hmm.
like that's what I hear more is like I keep up with movies that are being announced, being like actually
Mm-hmm.
officially announced and everything. Because I hear a lot of rumors, and I'm like, nope, I don't believe it till I see it. And that's when I was just like, okay, well, what's this book about? So actually, I had to ask Christina. She told me everything because she loves this book very much, and
mm-hmm.
so
it's a really good book.
Like after I watched the movie, I actually started reading it, so I have it right here. So hopefully,
really? I would bring mine, but I lent mine out to somebody, so I don't have the copy. I have the second copy. I have It Starts With Us. So if you ever need It Starts With Us, I have it.
All right, sounds good.
But it's a really good book.
No, yeah.
Are we allowed to do books? Wait, are we allowed to do book spoilers?
I mean, we're about to talk about the movie, so I would assume that we're allowed to. Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with.
Spoil it because, like,
I know that there's comparisons. Like, I know there's changes, and
mm-hmm.
I did see that when I was deep diving into the movie itself. So, like, I'm already kind of spoiled technically, but I was spoiled the moment I watched the movie. So.
Yeah, no, and I mean, the movie did a really good job at sticking to pretty much everything. It's just like little details here and there.
No, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with hearing whatever the details. I was actually going to ask you what were changes and everything that they made in the movie that I just haven't.
Oh, perfect. So. Okay, yeah, no, So again, listen to the audiobook right before going to go see the movie. I literally the whole movie was like, that's different. That's different. Change that. They didn't do that. Well, they didn't do that well enough.
Yeah. I understand that. I was like that with Lord of the Rings, so it's okay.
Okay, that's like a way more like detailed one to so
I was also a kid
so
too, so like I had no
insane.
business. I had no business doing that because I was like a little kid too when I came out. So, but anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and get into this movie. It stars Justin Baldoni, directed and stars as Royal Kincaid. Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have Blake Lively, Lily Blossom Bloom.
Insane.
I love the part where he's just like, wow, your parents really hated you.
Right.
And then we also have what is his name? Brandon Sklenar, I think is how it's pronounced.
I thought it was Skelnar, but I think it is Sklenar.
So I see there's an L right after the K, so
Yeah, I think it's Sklenar.
okay. And he plays Atlas, and then we have the younger versions who were
Undiscovered, right?
yeah, like one of them
the
is
girl-
the girls
the
for
girl
sure.
was?
The girls are for sure her first time. And
Yeah,
that
they
is
did like open castings for that. It was so cool. Like
they said they did it through TikTok, right?
Mhm.
And people were just like sending in everything, and then like they just found her because like she had the exact same birthmark that Blake Lively has in the same exact spot. That's
and same voice.
her voice is very
Or
similar.
like was able to do the same voice. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was crazy in
Yeah.
the movie when she opened her mouth.
Yeah, and it's Isabella Ferreira, I believe is her name, and then the young Atlas was Alex Newstater. That's that name's a little hard to look at. But yeah, I know he's done some stuff. But yeah, that last name is a little hard. So if anybody actually knows how to pronounce it, someone send that over to me. But yeah, so let's get into it. So we're aware that she does go to a funeral for her dad, who passes away, and she is at the podium supposed to say her 5 favorite things of him, and the napkin is blank. So obviously she did not like her dad very much, and we learn why further in. It's like, long story short, he was very abusive to his mom. He just would beat the crap out of her, which is not okay. And that's the whole purpose of this whole movie, is just domestic violence. So just try to give everyone a fair warning. Like this conversation that is very serious. I know that there's no forms of like joking about this in any way. Like this is some serious stuff that we're going to be talking about. And we're just going to be talking about the film that we watched and the book from Jaci's perspective. So just let everyone know. And so yeah, we're aware that he did beat his mom or her mom. And that's the whole cycle of it, right? The cycle is
So Colleen Hoover actually wrote the book based off of her mother.
Okay.
So Colleen Hoover, I hope I have this. I know I have this correctly, actually. Wrote the book based off of her mom, because when Colleen Hoover was younger, her father was abusive towards her mother, and her mother left and like ended the cycle. So she said that she wrote this book to kind of represent like the strength in leaving. You know, because sometimes it becomes a cycle, and then a child sees that and thinks that that's the norm, and then they go through it, and the cycle continues because nobody ever knows how to just kind of stand up for themselves and leave.
Yeah.
And so she wrote it based off her mom. So pretty. I mean, I feel like that's why it's such a, I don't want to say a good book, because you know how good, there's nothing good about domestic violence, but it's written in a way where it feels very realistic, and you feel all the feelings that Lily's feeling. And I think that's what captured so many people, because you actually feel like the highs that are great, and then you feel the lows, and then you feel the confusion, and then you feel like the resolution to stand up for yourself. It's really, she does a really good job at kind of like bringing you along on the entire journey, not just the good parts, not just the bad parts, but all of it.
Yeah, that was it's definitely like when because like I was looking at the part where you pretty much like put like your you're dedicating the book to and everything. And Colleen had put like, for my father who tried his very best not to be his worst, and then for my mother who made sure we never saw him at his worst. And so like I think one thing that books, like, because when it comes to books, like everyone has like their favorite genres or like their favorite stories because like it hits them in a certain way. I understand why something like this would hit people in a very well, because it's very raw and like it's very relatable to some people, and it's a good story in here that can resonate to real life stories out there. So so we see that she just walks away from the funeral, and that's pretty much how the movie begins. She's on the rooftop, sitting in a spot that I would never sit in, which is hanging off of the side of the book.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Like maybe I love my life just a little too much. But I would absolutely never. I would like do a lean, like but standing on the floor, maybe lean on the rooftop. But actually, just like sitting is insane. Yeah. Insanity.
Yeah. Well, I'm scared of heights, so I would not be anywhere near the roof. So I'll be like,
you'd be at a lovely little park.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be on the floor. Like, I'm not going up there. So yeah, we see her sitting up there. Ryle Kincaid. I'm gonna keep saying Ryan because it's just an R. Ryle Kincaid comes up. He shows up, a little angry, kicks a chair.
Book accurate, by the way. Like, I will say this rooftop scene, I don't love the changes that they made. But it was pretty accurate. Like, he does go up there, he kicks a chair. She is sitting on the ledge. He gets mad at her for sitting on the ledge.
He's like telling her, he's like, can you like sit, like get off of that? Like, so yeah, that was pretty good. I did see, because I know behind the scenes that we heard that Ryan Reynolds wrote part of this rooftop scene.
And I feel it. Tell. Like, I can tell.
You could tell which parts are like that he really stuck it in.
I feel like you can tell like exactly what lines he added.
Yeah.
Again, because this movie, there's bits and pieces here that are comedic, but it's really not like a funny book, like a ha funny book.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have those funny little one-liners.
Yeah.
As much as the movie did, but I get, a movie, you try to kind of have like a lot of different layers. It's not just gonna be a drama. It's not just gonna be a sad movie, but yeah, no, you could feel the presence. Like, when I heard that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. It feels like Deadpool wrote this.
Yeah, because like, what is the first line that it caught me was when he's like, have I seen you before? She's like, well, I haven't needed brain surgery like that. Or like that, like she realized, like that little quick little snippet, and then
like the little quick, there's a line where she's like, he says that he's a surgeon, and she's like, oh, I would have thought finance bro, and that felt kind of like misplaced.
Yeah, it felt like it was not needed or anything like that.
Yeah, and it just felt odd, but I mean, it didn't take away from the movie. Nothing took away from the movie. I don't think.
It's just, I think for us, it's because like we're aware. Like, if we had watched that scene without thinking anything of it, we'd be like, all right, cool. But because going into it, we're aware of what scene he wrote or anything like that. Because like they just, it was all in the advertising. Like, it was all in the press and everything. Like, what scene he wrote. So like you're already looking for it.
Like I was very aware.
Yeah. So like that scene that was there. Still a great scene in regards to like their first meeting, because you see like when they do their naked truce and everything, and he talks about pretty much why he was upset, which was about there was a brother that accidentally shot his other brother and killed him with a gun when they're playing with it, because someone was being a little reckless in regards to like where maybe they put it. That scene immediately, me not knowing anything about what happens further in that scene, the way he delivered the line, like it's gonna ruin him for life, like that. I felt that, like the way he delivered that line, I felt it. And like for me in my head, I'm like, is that because of this guy? Because I don't know this guy. Like this is my first time seeing Just About Donnie. But like in my head, I'm like, yeah, it's my first time seeing anything with him in it. I know he's in Jane the Virgin, which I just found out recently.
Yeah, he's okay. First of all, he's great in Jane the Virgin. Loved him in Jane the Virgin. Fun fact: when I was reading the book, he is literally who I pictured as this character I know when they released the actors, some people were like, "No, I don't like this. I don't like this."
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, him and Theo James were like I'd go back and forth on which one I would like picture in my head.
I can see Theo. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't picture Blake Lively. I know people were mad that she was casted.
I don't think anybody pictured her, honestly.
No, I did, but I wasn't mad. Like I could understand why you needed to age the characters up because, you know,
you don't see no 20-year-old neurosurgeon.
I'm sorry, 26 years old and a neurosurgeon. What? Put me in the direction.
Yeah. Which I'm glad that Colleen Hoover came out and said that that's something that she chose to do because she felt like she made a mistake when she put the ages.
Like I think the casting was pretty well, but yeah, Ryle or Justin Baldoni, like he did such a good job acting in this movie. Like the moments where you're supposed to love him, you love him. Moments where you're supposed to like be scared of him, I was scared. I was like, oh nope, that's scary.
Yeah, just that delivery like already won me over. I was like, first time watching this guy, I love that delivery. I want to know what the hell he's like. There's more behind this delivery, like behind the fact that he said it's gonna destroy them for life. I was just like, I felt that. I felt like he felt that. So like there's more to this. I want more.
Yeah.
Pretty much like I'm just gonna say flat out like any scene that Justin Baldoni was in this movie, I loved it. Like he definitely.
I think he stole the show, which easy for him to do just because again, Ryle is probably the most. I don't want to say the most complicated character in the movie, but he's the one that has the most dynamics. Like again, he's very charming. He puts himself out there. He's this big personality, but in the same breath, he is like a terrifying person to be around.
Yeah,
he's scary, and he has like a darkness or like a dark side to him, where that kind of the bad parts overcome the good parts, and like he did that so well. Like he did every facet of his personality so well, or of the character's personality so well. Whereas like Blake, like Lily, she stays good. Like she stays pretty consistently who she is throughout the movie. Granted, she goes through a lot. Like not doesn't go through a lot, but like her personality kind of stays consistent to being like the protagonist, the goodness of the movie. So and he like did so well.
Yeah, and like with him, it's like the parts where he's supposed to be scared. Like we don't know this part just yet. If you hadn't read if you hadn't read the book at least. So like for me, it's just like I'm not seeing anything like that was like, you know, what people were scared
gave it away.
Yeah. You just think that he's all right. He's a cool guy. Like he's at
this point you're probably thinking like, oh, he's a cool love interest. Like that is the love interest.
It's like that I will take, but no.
Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, when is she gonna meet the bad guy?
Yeah. I was like, so wait, where's the bad guy? Is it the other guy? Like the other person we're supposed to know? So yeah, like that whole rooftop scene was great. He's very, very open about what he wants when he just flat out told her that he just wanted to sleep with her. That line delivery and her reaction were perfect in that scene. Yeah. Because her mouth literally went, what? Like her just went down. But that was a good scene. Not relatable in any way. That's for sure. And yeah, that's pretty much first time meeting right there. So I know that does she say that she's opening the flower shop to him then and there?
Yeah. So change. Book alert. Let's say. In the movie, she's already planning to open the bookshop, whereas in the book, he kind of pushes her to open bookshop, the flower shop. Oh my gosh, not the bookshop.
But it's because you said book. That's why the word delivery is here.
In the book, she's on the fence, and he's the one that kind of makes her like just do it, you know?
Yeah.
Might as well like go for it. Whereas in the movie, she already has I think she already has like a space chosen out. Like she's like about to.
Oh yeah, she said she was gonna pick up the keys, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So she had already, which not a big change, but it is a change.
Yeah, it's like a minor one. That one probably like isn't like, it's not like that big of a deal because it's just like she was gonna open it no matter what.
there's a lot of things, like, there's not a lot, like, I feel like all the changes are kind of like that, where they don't drastically impact the story.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so she gets the keys to the shop the next day, and as she's cleaning, she meets it's the spelling that throws me off. Is it Alyssa or is it?
It is Alyssa, but
Okay.
with 2 L's for some reason.
Yeah, because normally it's what, 1 L and 2 S's or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so they just put the double letter in a different spot as well. But yeah,
For no reason, but
one, I did not know that Jenny Slate.
Jenny Slate, yeah.
Yeah, I did not know she was in this movie. I actually really enjoy her.
Me too. Oh my gosh, as soon as I saw her, I was like, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Like, what are you doing here, Jenny?
Yeah, so as soon as she showed up, I was like, yes, thank you. She's in this movie. And
yeah, she's like perfect. Because I think in the book she's also supposed to be kind of like the comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
She did such a good job.
Yeah. I think just her presence and everything just like brings joy and comedy. Mm-hmm. So so Lily meets Alyssa for the first time, she saw the help wanted sign outside, and she's just like, hey, like, you hiring, but not really hiring, because she practically wants to work for free the way she was coming at her. So yeah. I thought that was interesting. I was like, so that's just somebody that like clearly has a lot of time and just wants to do something with
wants to work, like doesn't have to work but might as well want to work, just to fill up the days.
Yeah. And so we got a little montage of them cleaning up, them becoming friends pretty much. Then as they're having trouble, so there was like a little, I don't know if it was a hornet's nest or something like that was in the scene that they were holding. Apparently Blake Lively didn't know that was a real hornet's nest. Like, it was just empty. Yeah,
which first of all, if I ever walked into a flower shop, I would not be like, oh, and can I have 1 hornet's nest, please?
Yeah.
No. I will say the flower shop, beautiful, loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I get it. Like, that's also book accurate, that it was kind of like an unconventional flower shop. But yeah, the hornet's nest. Yeah, if somebody gave me a hornet's nest and was like, okay, and it's real, I'd be like, huh? Why?
I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
No, yeah. I did like the way I like the way the flower shop looked, because you get the usual small town little wooden basic like light flower, no offense to people that actually have flower shops, but like light flowers and everything, and then you get this one that's very different, and that's more my style right there. So
yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. And then her brother shows up, followed by Mr. Ryle Kincaid, but the brother, Marshall.
Brother is Ryle. Phil's the husband.
Huh? Oh, Marshall's yeah. Yeah. Marshall's the husband. And brother, Ryle. But
I was like, well, that'd be weird.
It's because like he's only in like maybe 3 scenes, but he's still like hilarious, Marshall.
Yeah, in the book, he's like a pretty big character too. So they definitely like toned him down a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm. I do wish we had a place where if we came into onesies, we would get free beer. Here. Right.
I was like, did this get derived from something true? Because
I'm gonna have to look it up, because that would be awesome.
I'm gonna need.
But we're in Texas, where we have too many different teams for different sports, so there's too much rivalries down here.
Right. There's like no one place where you can just have it all.
Yeah. Maybe San Antonio, but I don't think the Spurs would do that because there's too many games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It'd be like free beer every single day.
Like every other day.
From like the months of November to March.
Yeah. Like, we need a football team. Maybe if we had a football team down here, we would get that.
Right.
That's what we need. San Antonio is a football team.
Please. Oh, actually, I probably wouldn't stop being a Cowboys fan. So.
I wouldn't stop being a Texans fan either, or a Chiefs fan. So, no, yeah. So pretty much just all in the hanging out, not really getting to know each other because they already kind of knew each other, but just having a good time with Alyssa, Marshall, Ryle, and Lily. And then he walks. I'm assuming he like kind of walks her home, and that's where he's just like, just one kiss. That's all I need to get it off my mind.
Yeah.
So, that
flash forward.
Yeah. I was like, that did not go the way that he probably wanted to. But yeah, because I mean, they kissed, and he was addicted after that, pretty much. Because what happens after that? After the kissing scene, it's Alyssa's birthday, right?
Yeah. So after the kiss, it's Alyssa's birthday. And at this point, she's kind of like already smitten. So the flower shop opens, and he's her first
customer.
First customer. Which, by the way, the product placement in this movie also kind of crazy. Like, I feel like he used like his Discover like to tap to pay.
He's like, everyone, make sure you get the shot right here.
My Discover card and get a close up of me doing tap to pay really quick.
I was like, everyone needs to focus right here on this tap to pay, right here.
Right. Wow, that was quick and easy.
Yeah.
And I got 10% cash back.
Yeah, free delivery. I'm just kidding.
Right. And HBO is included in my yearly subscription. It was, yeah. So that's the flower shop opens. He buys flowers and leaves them there for her. So she realizes, like, oh, he still likes me. Like, he, like, it didn't go away. Like, his interest didn't go away after the kiss. Then it's her birthday, where it kind of comes to a head. Let me just say, in this movie, the biggest critique that I have, the wardrobe is insane. It was actually insane. And maybe it's because before the movie came out, people were talking about it. Maybe if that had never happened, I would have never noticed. But I feel like the entire movie, I was just like, huh? What is she wearing? And it was distracting. like 3 pairs of open, unbuttoned shirts, like pants with the boxers showing. It was a lot of patterns. It was, which I get an eclectic style, but it was actually insane, I do feel. And then I think Blake Lively came out and said that it was like her own pieces, like she styled herself, which then blew my mind even more because Blake Lively has good style. I think she was like at one point, and I only bring it up because at the party, she was wearing these fishnet boots. She's like, oh yeah, and those are like Christian Louboutins. And I'm like, okay, great. But why is Lily Bloom wearing them? She's a florist. Why is she buying fishnet Louboutin heels? You know, it was just little things that I was like, I don't know. Like, it didn't take away from the movie, but there were multiple times where I took myself out because I was like, wait, what is she wearing?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? And then I had to get back into the movie because I would take like a good 60-second pause to be like, huh? Why? She goes to the party. Fun fact: Colleen Hoover's at this party.
She's behind them, right, when they're talking or something.
Yeah,
like that?
she's like a patron. Yeah.
Yeah, Christina pointed it out. She's like, look who it is. I was like, who?
She's like, look.
Like, I'm gonna know who that is.
It's giving Stephanie Meyer in Twilight.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there. Personally, I love when authors are in the book. I do love, or when
in the movie.
Authors are in the movie. Golly, dude, can you tell that I haven't done this?
It's been a minute. It's all right. Same here.
Yeah, the birthday scene was pretty good. Again, book accurate. Like everything that happens. She finally tells him to take her seriously, and they sleep together, but they don't sleep together. Like they just spend the night together.
Yeah, they sleep next to each other.
And yeah, they sleep next to each other. And the next morning, she decides that she'll date him. Like they're gonna date on a trial run. That's
after getting busted by the sister.
Oh yes! Oh my gosh! Which hilarious! Like so funny.
Because she brought coffee, and she's like, "I'm gonna need this, and you're gonna need this one too." So yeah, like that scene where she busts him. She's like, I love him, but like, really, like, come on, pretty much, just say like, yeah, I don't think you want to deal with this guy. But yeah, he finally does ask her out, which is new to him, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
because he's not the dating kind of type. After him, he said that multiple times. So,
yeah, they like really hammered that in.
And immediately after that, they go out. and all the good stuff starts to happen. In regards to Atlas, because he's I don't know what it is about that actor, but holy shit, he is a gorgeous man.
Yes. Yes. Oh my god. Gorgeous man. Like, first of all, the men in this movie, gorgeous. Blake Lively is beautiful. Like, so pretty. Like, the men, I literally was like, excuse me? Like,
and then his voice.
Yes.
I'm like, how you look like that and have a voice like that? Like, come on.
A voice. Like, at least have a squeaky voice. Even it out. Give me something high pitched.
Like, give me a voice crack or something.
I've never seen him. I know he's in that show 1923.
The Yellowstone show? Like the spinoff?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in that. Like, I've never watched it, but I'm like pretty sure he's in that.
Yeah, he's in it.
You know who else is in that? Oh my gosh, divert from the plot. Remember Colton from Colton the Bachelor?
Yeah.
Remember his winner, Cassie?
Wait, Cassie's in this?
No, her sister is.
Oh, her sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, if there's one thing
Michelle Randolph?
Yes.
Yep. I think I remember seeing her sister before because she was dating another actor.
Yeah, the guy from Teen Wolf.
Yep.
Lee, I'm an internet girl. There's one thing I want to do is spend time on the internet and know things, but never watch the show. I have not seen the show.
I want to, but it's like one of those things where it's like there's just so many spinoffs that I'm like waiting for everything to just get canceled so I can watch everything. Like I want it to end before I sit down and watch it.
Yeah, like Yellowstone. I'm like, okay, do I have to watch Yellowstone first? Probably, and then like that's a journey.
I mean, technically not, because it takes place later. Yellowstone takes place later than 1923. Yeah, I mean Yellowstone's.
Watch it, okay? I'm not gonna watch it. There,
1923 takes place in 1923.
I don't want to. Westerns make me feel itchy when I watch them. Feels dry. That's why I can't watch Dune. It's not a Western. It's just a lot of sand, a lot of dust.
Dune is amazing, okay?
Yeah. I wouldn't know.
Well,
makes me feel like I need to like moisturize and put sunscreen on to watch it.
All right, everyone. We're gonna need a
podcast. You can skip over.
We need to get everyone to go to Jaci's page and just message her to watch Dune.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Anyways, back to this movie. After going to like 3 other stuff. Right. Yeah, so
2 shows and another movie.
Mm-hmm. So they go to a restaurant called, is it Root or The Root? I just know it's Root. Roots?
Okay. That, of all the changes they made, I think this is the one that, it didn't even bother me, but that's like, this is the one that kind of stuck out to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the book, the restaurant is called Bibs. B-I-B-S. Bibs. And you just think it's called Bibs. You just, you think that that's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, it's revealed that it's Better in Boston. That's what it stands for.
Okay.
And it kind of ties together it ties together their like love story from when they were younger much better, I feel. Because basically, when they were younger, he would tell her, well, everything's better in Boston, which they do say in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's better in Boston. Everything's better in Boston. He even gives her a magnet because he moves away. And he moves away, then he comes back for her birthday, and then he moves away permanently.
Yeah.
And he brings her a magnet that says, Better in Boston. And she keeps the magnet. It's like sentimental to her. And so when it's revealed at the end, which we'll get there when we get there, it's a bigger reveal. I feel like Roots was like, it's a good name for a restaurant, but yeah. I feel like they tied it kind of like loosely.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if they had kept it Bibs and Better in Boston, if they had kept that, it wouldn't have really done anything to them. Like, I don't know why they changed it. It didn't feel necessary.
Yeah. I mean, we should definitely talk about the younger selves. We haven't talked about that. We skipped a couple parts of them. But I was waiting to get to Atlas. That's why.
Once we get to Atlas, we can kind of like touch on like
because
all of Atlas up until this point.
Yeah, so like because before Atlas was mentioned in the one of the very first scenes where she sleeps with the homeless kid was because it was Atlas who was living on his own because he got kicked out of his mom's house.
Yeah. So his mom was with his stepfather, who was also abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And when he kind of stood up to the stepfather, I think they waited until he turned 18 and they kicked him out. And the mom didn't do anything about it.
Damn.
Yeah, like the mom said, hey, he needs you to leave. So he was 18, and I can't remember if they touched this in the movie, but in the book, it's like they really talk about it, how like the system failed him. Like he was too old for foster care, but too young to kind of do things on his own because he was still in high school.
Yeah.
So he just like slipped through the cracks and nobody cared. Like it's a pretty big topic in the book where they talk about like how the system failed him. Like what do you do when nobody's looking out for you? Like you don't fall under the categories for anybody to care.
Yeah, because like in the movie, they definitely didn't talk about that in the movie. Like the only thing that they touched on was the fact that like he got kicked out, but like they didn't make it seem like they were, or like his mom or his stepdad were like keeping him out. Like they just made it seem like he didn't want to be around them. Like this is based off of what like how they were doing the scenes. Mainly like he didn't want to be around them because one, he would like try to send it to him, and then like they show like the scar in his hand.
Like they would put the cigarette, like put out the cigarettes on his skin.
Did they say like what that cut was on his hand, or was that even in the book, that cut?
I think it was from him like getting in a fight with his.
Okay, so I was like, that's a pretty nasty cut on his hand.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like, yeah, they like really go into it in the book. Like he basically says like he would go to she even says, she's like, well, you didn't want to go to a shelter. And he's like, well, to go to a shelter, I would have to figure out how to get to school. The closest shelter doesn't have a bus route to the school, and I don't have a car, and I can't get a job because I'm in school. And even if I could get a job, like I don't have an address to put down on a resume. And even if I got a job, like I don't have a way to get to the job. It was just, oh my gosh, it was so like he exhausted everything he could, and he just ended up homeless. Like it's really sad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like because he's living in the house like right behind hers, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, like an abandoned house.
Yeah, like she sees him walk into that abandoned house, and she ends up packing him up like food and clothes and a whole bunch of stuff, and leaves it outside his window. And I did like the scene where he like says thank you to her, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. I did like that. But their whole dynamic like together was actually pretty nice. I know that I heard that Ellen is supposed to be like a big part of the book itself.
Yeah, Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, or at least like not not her specifically, but like
but Ellen is like actually very consistent in the book. So in the book, she writes letters to Ellen. She would watch Ellen's talk show. Yeah. And so she would write letters, like kind of like a diary entry style, which it's used very creatively in the book. So in the book, they aren't just flashbacks. It's like in the book, basically Lily is reading through these letters. Lily in present time is reading through these letters. And so every single letter tells you what happens in the past. So it's not a flashback. It's not back in time. It's older Lily reading an entry that describes what's happening in the past. Okay. So everything you get that's a flashback is from Lily's point of view. It's not like a third person point of view. It's her point of view specifically to Ellen DeGeneres. Okay. Again, which also, and it's crazy because there's no way they could have done this in the movie because it's literature, it's writing, it's not, unless you're gonna have like lively narrating what happens in the past, which I don't think would have like translated well. Yeah. But yeah, in the book, she writes letters to Ellen,
which they show like a little scene. Yeah, they show the younger one writing it, right?
They didn't cut it completely, and even in the flashbacks, they watch they watch the Ellen show together, young Lily and young Atlas, which again did happen in the books. Like in the books, she gets him into like Finding Nemo and Ellen DeGeneres as well. She really likes the movie Finding Nemo.
Wasn't there a poster?
Because of Ellen.
Wasn't there
Yeah,
a poster?
there's a poster.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a little homage. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it.
So like little snippets in there just to show.
Yeah, and
Okay.
in the restaurant route, there's a little sign like in the hallway before the bathroom that says "Just keep swimming" with a little
Oh wow!
fish. Yeah,
I didn't see that. That's pretty
really
cool.
cute. Well, it's like I feel like that was like for book readers because they didn't really mention.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't have noticed that, but now you mention it, I'm gonna have to watch the movie again. Keep an eye out for that. So
yeah, you need to read the book and then watch it, and you'll see like there's like little nods here and there because obviously they couldn't do everything. Like they couldn't do the letters. That's probably the biggest change now that I think about it.
But yeah, so like we got to see like their dynamic as young kids and kind of like them. Pretty much, she is the only friend that he has. So and she's actually looking out for him in a situation because nobody else knows what he's dealing with. So
yeah.
Trying to see what happens next.
So they go to the restaurant, and she sees Atlas, and it's like very apparent that they still have unresolved feelings.
It was like that. It was like a little spark at the moment they saw each other.
Yeah, which again they captured so well because there's a lot of like nonverbal acting in this movie that I feel is done so well, and I didn't expect it. I thought, when you have a book that turns into a movie, there's a lot of things that a book can describe without words being said.
Yeah. And
I feel like the movie did a really good job at translating that. He basically says, "Oh, is that your guy?" And she says, "Yes, he would love him." And she asks if he's single. He says no, that he has Cassie, which is his girlfriend, which we later realized never existed. Like he made it up.
Yeah, he's a liar.
I wish they would have elaborated on that because again, that happens in the book. That's all correct. I guess I'll talk about it once it should come up. So we'll just glaze over that. But
yeah, we'll fly through some of these scenes because it's the other stuff that like.
This is gonna be a 3-hour podcast on a 2-hour movie. So basically, they meet each other's family. They meet the mom. The mom loves Ryan. Obviously, he's a doctor. Like he's again super charming. And at this point, they had already said "I love you" to each other.
Oh, okay.
So fast forward, the flower shop's doing well. And then we get to the point where he hits her for the first time. Yep. It's like, and I feel like up until this point in the movie, everything's like very like airy and fun and nice. And then you get this scene where they're laughing, they're joking. He's talking about how he has like this big surgery coming up, and he burns his hand. And he hits her. Yeah. Like she's laughing and she goes up to him and he hits her, which the movie did such a good job at making it look like an accident. Yep. Because when I was watching it and it looked like an accident, I was like, that's a change. Like in the book, it's like very much on purpose. Yeah. And I was like, okay, maybe it's like an accident so that we can understand why she forgives him so quickly. Yeah. Yeah, that whole scene was definitely interesting because the fact that like what made it like was that hitting scene in my head. Obviously, I don't know. Like this is just me watching a movie. Like again, like because I have not read this part. Like I see the hit, and I'm like, okay, that's a good way to show like someone that's trying to come up with excuses for getting hit. Like. Yeah. Like they saw it as something, but like what really stuck to my head from the very beginning of the movie was there's a line that she says that she's an unreliable narrator, and that triggered me from the movie that we watched. So that full circle. That's why I was like, all right, I need to talk to Jaci about this one because. Oh my god, yes, and it did again. It's oh gosh, I hate getting excited because it's like this movie topic is so serious.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like good storytelling is good storytelling, and they did such a good job at it's an accident until it isn't.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the end you get that scene where she's that's not really the end, but when she finally like draws the line and says enough is enough,
Mm-hmm.
you get flashbacks to all of these instances where you realize like, oh, it wasn't an accident. And we're realizing it when she realizes it, when she takes off like those rose-colored glasses and realizes like, oh, I've been in an abusive relationship. It's not an accident. He is hurting me, and now it's time for me to leave. Because up until that point, it is kind of set to where you're like, I don't know, like, yeah, was it reactive? Like, did he mean? Like me watching, I know what happens in the book, so I knew what was happening. But I was watching it, and I was like, did they make it a change to where all of these are accidents? Like that doesn't help the story. That doesn't, that kind of cushions it.
Yeah, because I was just
you realize like, oh, it wasn't accident. We were in it with her.
Yeah, because like as you're seeing it, like for those that don't know, like it's just like, oh, like that was an accident. Like it was like in my head, because like I know that what's supposed to be happening, but when I see that one, I was like, okay, so like his first hit was that it definitely triggered her because she like reacted like what the hell just happened. But in my head, I'm like, oh, like it was an accident. Like he accidentally triggered her by smacking her when he burned his hand. Like because that's a natural reaction. Like from what we saw was like pulling her hand away, and then she was there, and like he hit her. So I am very glad the way that they did this was they show us later from the actual perspective of what did happen, not from just like what she's telling herself happened. What happened?
Yeah, like what she's. Yeah, it's like up until that point, we see what she's telling herself.
Yeah, yeah,
that's good. It's good movie making. Like, that's good storytelling.
Yeah, sure. And that's why that line just stuck with me from the very beginning, was just that she's an unreliable narrator. Mm-hmm. So I was like, she's just gonna see it how she wants to see it. So, that was that first one. He cuts his hand too, pretty badly, with the glass, and they just try to kiss and make up and everything. Where she's just like, no, it's okay. It was an accident. It was an accident. And then we just go a little bit more forward to where after the surgery, and they go out to eat with Marshall and Alyssa back to Root, which leads to Atlas seeing her. I like the way that they showed this, because he's there just trying to be friendly, talking to Marshall and Alyssa, and then he's like peeping over back at Ryle and Lily, seeing the messed up hand, the bruise on her eye, and it triggers him. He just walks away. And I like that he confronted her separately from the situation and to talk to her
rather than
because in his head he's already knows like I've seen this with my mom, I've seen this with your parents, like you need to leave, like nothing, like no, I don't want to hear excuses, you need to leave. And then of course the little scary scene of when Ryle's right outside that restroom.
My gosh,
I like the way they showed that, because like we see outside the restroom and it's nothing, but then the moment they turn, he's right there in the corner. So that was a good scene.
Yeah, the chaos from this scene was so good. I mean, him, like, it's just like him noticing, and I feel like at this point, is this the point where they show what, like, the last of the flashbacks? I think it is.
Yeah, because we know that they slept together. Like, they show that they slept together. I don't know.
Lily and Atlas, right?
Yes. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah, they show them sleeping together, but then there's still one more, technically, further in, I think, when he...
when Lily's dad catches them.
Yeah, I think it's a little further, or it's right here. I can't remember exactly where it is.
I think it's somewhere around here, because basically at this point Ryle sees Lily as like Lily's mom, and how like he kind of confronts her, like saying like, are you gonna make excuses for him, like you're just gonna go through the cycle again, like this is gonna happen to you. And then Ryle comes out, and Ryle makes a comment like, oh my gosh, what does he say, like charity, like you slept with him for charity, or something rude, and he like loses it.
Yeah, the Charity
And
Virginia, like something like that, like something about
yeah,
just yeah. It was a pretty hard dig there.
yeah. Which is again, you see like the ugly side to Ryle. Now it's like coming out, and oh my gosh, this whole scene is so toxic. Like when and they leave, and she's like comforting him, and he's like, why were you in the bathroom? Why were you in the bathroom? He's like, oh, he saw my eye, and like he was scared, and he was like, why him? Like not him,
Like anybody but him.
like basically, yeah, anyone but him. But like, oh my gosh, like basically, like I don't even know if the right term is gaslights, but like makes her think that she's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You
Like
know,
you're like you're
almost,
doing this to us. Like you're doing this to me.
yes, yes.
And he's like he's not enough. Like
yes, and she ends up having to console him because she had like almost apologizing that Atlas even cared.
yeah.
It's oh my gosh. At this point, like I was just like, ugh.
Yeah,
But
because it's just
again,
like how would he react if his sister or Marshall saw her eye and immediately thought that he hit her? Because in their heads they're not thinking that. But if that happened, how would he react to that? Like would he be the same way? Would he be
yeah,
like yeah? So that's just one of those things where it's just like I want to see that also like in someone else's like mind like confronting it because I want to see what his excuse would be then. Yeah, that whole scene was good film. And like hard to watch in some ways as well.
yeah, yeah. Which I think a lot of this movie, it's like good filmmaking because it is hard to watch. Like it's hard to like sit there and get through it. Which maybe in the grand scheme of things is why they added like these little light moments, like the comedic relief here and there,
just to give you time to breathe.
Yeah, because if not, it'd be pretty intense, like the entire way through.
Yeah. So pretty much after that happens, they cut to a little while because we find out that the sister Alyssa's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to where pretty much she has a bump, so it's a couple months later, and Atlas shows up at the store.
Yeah, Atlas shows up at the store, basically saying, he's there for her. He apologizes for
what happened. He pretty much says like, "Hey, like I'm sorry for what happened." Like, yeah, something that Ryle never did.
He gives her his number, like just in case, like if she ever needs anything. And then he leaves, and that Alyssa has the baby.
Mm-hmm.
They name I don't even know if they bring it up in the movie. I don't even think they show the baby. She names the baby after Ryle.
Really?
Like Alyssa's baby's name is Riley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I don't even think they said that in the movie. Which
I don't remember what the baby's name is, so probably not.
I don't think it had one in the movie. Now that I think about it,
baby number 1.
It's just child.
Yeah.
But the birth of that baby is what makes Ryle and Lily realize, like, let's get married. They get married super fast. True to the book. In the book, they fly to Vegas to get married, but they do get married like literally the day they decide to.
Okay.
And then they come back, and it happens. It's
the phone number, right?
Yes. Yeah. So at this point, I think it's also at this point been a couple of months.
Yeah.
And they're just in the apartment, going about their day. And Ryle drops her phone and sees the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like storming out. He's angry. At this point, they haven't discussed his anger issues. Like, she probably thought things like, oh, it was an accident.
Yeah, because it had still only been that one time before that. So.
Mm-hmm. And she follows him to the stairwell, and she blacks out. Or you see that she falls.
She falls. In our eyes, it looks like she just falls down the stairs.
Yes, and she wakes up because she blacks out, and he's stitching her up, making sure she's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he said she's like delirious, and he's like, "Oh my God, you fell! Like, I'm so sorry." And then she still has to kind of explain herself, even like in the state that she's in, and she. Like I think he says, like, I tried to catch you, like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the first part where I was like, "You're lying," because like
Yes.
what we see is her falling onto the stairs, and then like he like aggressively like turns, but you don't see his arm stretch out or anything like that. But you just see her
Yeah.
fall. So like in our heads, it's like, yeah, she tripped. Like, I mean, not in our heads, but visually it shows that she falls. But the part where he says that he tried to catch her, like in that scene, you don't see him reaching out. Like they just cut it off. Like they show her fall, but he's like his arms are still like this. So like in my head, I was just like, okay, there's more. Like this is when I was like, okay, there's more to this right here, because the fact that he said he tried to catch her, I was like, well, in that scene, you definitely didn't try catching her, but all right.
Yeah.
So like that's where like the first lie in my head like started kicking in. So
and I feel like this is the first time you see him like truly be menacing, because again, the first time that he like when he hits her off when he burns his hand, like that whole scene, he is like, I'm sorry, it was an accident, It's like, whereas this one, we start to see like, oh, he is lying. Like I tried to catch you. Like we see the more like manipulative tone, which then leads us to the final occurrence, where he is just like, he's evil. Like I feel like each time, like the 3 times there's a situation of abuse, first time it's like, okay, the accident, okay. The second time it's like, okay, well, this is a little, no, he's lying. And then the last time it's like, oh, this is a terrifying human being.
Yeah. Because like even in that the second time where he's like taking care of her, it's like he is trying to convince her that he was helping her.
Yes, like he's like convinced, like he is putting in the work to make sure she doesn't think a certain way. Yeah,
like he wants the narrative to be that he was helping her. Because like he even asked her, she's like, "What am I doing? Like, what am I doing to you right now?" And she's like, "Helping me." Like she's like checking.
Oh gosh, it was so sick.
So yeah, that like it just immediately leads into the next part, which is the scene where the magazine.
So she gets nominated for like best new business in Boston, which for a flower shop, hello, that's like a really big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal for a flower shop. So.
It's crazy. And so she's excited, and she gets home, and Ryle is like, again, kind of scary, like very menacingly waiting for her. And this scene was so uncomfortable to watch. Like from beginning to end, he basically tells her, so in the book, the scene got the energy from the book very well. Like the book has that same like, oh my God, no, like I don't want this to happen. Like I don't want to keep reading. Feel. In the book, basically he sees the magnet, and in the magazine article, Atlas is talking about Better in Boston, and that's what BIB stands for, and he realizes like, oh, the magnet. In the book, he also finds the letters to Ellen and realizes like, oh, she was really in love with him.
Oh, okay.
And that's what sets him off. Whereas in the movie, it's just the magazine article, which again, I wish they would have shown it to show like how kind of like wraps everything up a little bit more. But the movie did a good job, and he tells her to read it, and she says no, she doesn't want to. He like snaps and basically like bites her. He like throws her down, like he's gonna like, again, all of this happens in the book where she fears that he's going to rape her. Like she gets scared and she leaves. And that when she gets in the car, that's when it does the flashback where you realize it was never an accident. This was just things that he was doing to her, and making her think that they were accidents. And again, those rose-colored glasses, I think that's the saying, they're lifted, and she realized like I have been in an abusive relationship. And at that point in the movie, I was like, oh my gosh, like okay, I thought they were kind of like softening it, but really we're in it with her. Like that same feeling of going through what the main character is going through. They did a good job of translating that over to the movie, it wasn't just black and white. It was, she's an unreliable narrator until she isn't. And she goes find Atlas, who takes her to the hospital, and she realizes that she is pregnant. So she can't just, like, of course, like, she can't just leave. Like, she's always going to be tied to him.
Yeah.
Which, it makes you feel all the emotions, like, of, like, being in she's in such a bad place. And Atlas is there for her. He takes her back to his house, says that she can stay there. I wish they would have fleshed this part out a little bit. Because again, I go back to the books. In the books, you learn, like, Atlas and Lily really get reacquainted, but they kind of come to terms with a lot of things in their relationship while she's staying with him.
Mm-hmm.
That adds to her confusion of, like, what am I going to do? But yeah, so she's pregnant now, and the next scene in the movie is just kind of her getting back on her feet.
Yeah.
She moves out. She leaves Ryle. If I have that correct, like, she's
like at that point she had been separated from, like, they weren't, because they weren't divorced yet or anything like that, but they were separated. Yeah, they were just,
it's crazy because they are married. Like, they were just separated. They were living separate.
Yeah. I will say, because I want to just go back to the magazine scene real quick, only in regards to the Root name, because that, like, I felt like when he had talked about Root, when she had the conversation when she was younger with him, like, I think that's why the name was, like, a little bit like it hit differently in regards to, like, him finding out about her, was because remember she had that Root heart.
Oh yeah, she has the
the tattoo as well. She has an actual. You're about to, like, you have one too.
I also have the tattoo. So she has the tattoo. Oh my god, I completely skipped over that. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
So she has a tattoo of which takes you back to the first scene in the movie, where she's looking through her things, and she actually still has the little carving heart, the carving. There you go.
Yeah.
And I will say, in the magazine, he, like, very explicitly says, like, I carved a heart with an open end for a girl that I loved. And then the reporter asked, like, oh, are you still in love with her? And he says, like, oh, no comment.
Oh yeah.
Which is what?
Because he had asked if he had seen her too since then.
Yes. Yeah.
And he said yes, and that's what triggered Ryle, definitely. But yeah, because that's why he bites her in that specific spot, because that's where she has the tattoo.
Yeah, and I think he says it. Now I'm getting the book and the movie confused, but he says, like, that was my favorite spot of yours, and you lied to me about it.
Yeah.
Ugh, so
gross.
Yeah, Justin Baldoni
killed this role.
Yeah, really dedicated to the movie, because usually such a chipper guy, and I was, like, scared.
He was terrifying there.
Yeah, this is, like, really dark.
Yeah, that whole scene was definitely hard to watch. And then, of course, finding out that she was pregnant as well. But I definitely like the way that they showed her progress in regards to separating herself a little bit more from him. With her living on her own. Cue the Taylor Swift song. The building of the crib, which he ends up showing up and helping her at least. But you can tell that he's definitely like, oh, like, I'm keeping my distance a bit. They still have that nice little moment where she still, like, even though she knows what he's done, like, she still sees something other than what that evil side of him. Yeah. So, like, she lets him, like, touch the belly when the baby's kicking. The conversation with Alyssa about what happened to the brother, that was, like, that's where, like, in my head I was like, this is what's led to a darker side of him, was the fact that he had shot his brother when he was younger and killed him. And that's why that delivery, it's gonna ruin him for life, was hit so much harder. Because he knew he was that kid when he was younger. So like it's not like they're giving excuses as to why he's doing it, because that's not the thing. It's why is he the way he is, and where can you go from there to make it better? And that's what I loved about that scene, was it shows us what started it and what can go from there, and like it just helps understand him a little bit more to help him.
Yeah, it definitely makes him a more like dynamic character, because sometimes you think like, oh, he's just an evil guy, like he's just bad, and this movie kind of shows you that even the monsters have reasons for being monsters, and that's not to say that they're absolved or it's okay that they're doing these bad things, but it's very much not black and white. Again, this I will say, I keep bringing up the book. In the book, he's the one that tells her.
Okay.
But he also tells her before she leaves him.
Okay.
So like, kind of between that second and third occurrence. So.
Okay.
As a way to try to keep her, like as a way to try to like keep her with him, and it works in the book.
Okay, then I like the movie version better in that spot. Then
I think it makes it. They put it in at the end to show that like, okay, that's not even gonna make her go back to him. Like it's gonna make her understand him, but it's not gonna make her go and give him another chance. I like that Alyssa says like, as his sister, I want you to forgive him, but as your best friend, like I cannot let you go back to him. It shows like even his sister understands like the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
Because it's his sister. You know, you don't think that, you don't know what side she's gonna take, and it's nice that even she's able to kind of give Lily like the affirmation of don't go back to him. Like,
yeah, her line delivery, like her lines there were so good. Where it's just like, as your sister sibling, right? As his sibling, I wish y'all can work it out, but as your best friend, I will never talk to you if you go back to him. And that was a great line right there.
Yeah.
That part was really good. Then they have the birthing scene, right? Is that what happens?
Yeah. So then it skips over to Lily moves out. Ryle asks for her back, like rightfully so. He says that he's gonna seek help, that he's gonna not hurt her, and I feel like they kind of leave it in limbo until she gives birth. She kind of makes it like a decision, or after she has the baby, like after she's able to make like a clear decision, and she gives birth and realizes like, no, like I think the monologue that Blake gives, I don't even know if it's called a monologue, but like this scene between Blake and Justin, when after she gives birth and she's telling him like, I want a divorce, and he's like, no, please, like he's like on this high, like she's seeing him with her daughter, and she realizes like, no, like not for you, not for me, but for her. Like she's not gonna see her father abuse her mother like I saw my father abuse her mother, basically, is what she's saying. And it's just so powerful. Like I think that, again, I'm getting the book and the movie confused. So when I say like, let me know if it wasn't in the movie, but she basically says like, my father was good to me. He was a good dad. Like I saw so many glimpses of him as a good dad, and he could have 5 good years, but the moment he did something bad, those 5 good years are wiped away. Like, and he's a bad dad. Like, and I can't think of like, I feel like she kept the napkin of reasons to love him, and she kept it empty. And, again, in the movie, or in the book as well, like she did have good moments with her dad, but she had so many bad moments that it didn't even matter if he was a good dad to her, because he was a horrible husband. Yeah. And so she basically tells, oh my gosh, when she tells him like, what would you do if your daughter fell in love with somebody that hurt her and said it was an accident? Yeah, like I like where she like says the things that that she went through as the examples. Yeah. And like that scene, like, because it's 2 parts in this specific scene that I actually felt something, because like throughout the movie, like like I'm doing it, but it wasn't until this thing that I actually felt like emotions that were, one, it was the part where she says that she wants to name the baby
after his brother,
Mhm.
and he immediately starts like to cry and everything like that. He's like, that's
Mhm.
like the nicest thing anybody's ever done for me, like something like that.
Yeah.
And then the part where she's naming the things that he did to her, but as example towards the daughter, being like, what would you do if she came to you saying that my boyfriend hit me, but it was an accident, or like he shoved me down the stairs, but it was an accident. Like, how would you respond? And he said, like, I would want her to leave. So
yeah.
and
Like making him say the words, I would want her to leave, like out loud.
Yeah.
Was so like this whole scene, I was like, I was crying.
yeah, and it's like a scene like this where he's the one saying, I want you to leave. Like you're hoping that something like that will help him become a better person.
Realize, and realize like I have to, like, and he like steps out and she's talking to Emerson, the baby. She's like, it ends here, like it ends with us.
Yeah,
like the cycle ends here. Like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah. And that's pretty much how the movie ends, outside the fact that she goes to the cemetery and drops off the napkin to her dad. And that's it.
Yes. Oh no. We have the last scene where she sees Atlas again.
Oh yeah. At the little I don't even know what they call that.
Earlier when they part, when he like was basically, after he had helped her, he says the line, which is in the book, literally so good. If you find yourself in the position to fall in love again, fall in love with me. Oh, so good. I
was like, I already.
So it kind of that's like the little like leave off to where you're like, oh, is there going to be a second movie? Because they see each other again, and she confirms that she left him, and that's when it ends.
Yeah.
And that's the movie. It only took us like an hour and a half to get here.
It's a lot to take in, but it's also things where like we're going through scenes and we're trying to remember how we felt during those scenes, and little side conversations in regards to 1923. I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, because that's not it. Like, cause it's like there's other things. It's just like one of those things where it's usually go down a list.
And now we need to talk about the drama.
Yes, I want to get to the drama. But first, I need to know what would be the song that would be playing at your funeral.
Oh my God! Hello, Defying Gravity.
I figured. Yeah, that
Defying Gravity for the start of my funeral, and then my closing song, like as I'm being lowered into the ground, For Good, also by Wicked.
Okay, so now that we got through the movie itself, we need to talk about that drama that's going on right now.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I feel like
messy.
This movie has had drama surrounding it literally since they announced the cast. Like I'm a proud member of Book Talk, let me tell you. When they announced that it was getting made into a movie, everybody was like freaking out, so happy. Oh my God, I think it's gonna rain.
Was that thunder?
Did you hear that? Or did
I
you
heard
hear
that.
from mine?
I thought that was I thought maybe like you breathed into the mic for a second, but I was like, no.
No, I don't have a mic.
Oh,
unless it was
there's some rain clouds out there.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, unless it was like garbage.
No, yeah, it's supposed to rain. There's a rain cloud literally right around us, or where you live. I don't know if you can see this, but
not orange. That's ridiculous.
Okay, because you're outside. You're outside that line.
Yeah,
I'm right there, so.
Yeah, I'm out there. That's me. Okay, so if you hear thunder, I'm so sorry.
You're fine. I thought it was your stomach rumbling for a second.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, so they announced the actors, and it was like, you would have thought that they casted, like, I don't even know. You would have thought that it was the worst casting in the history of casting.
Like people that were canceled before.
Yeah, no, you would have thought it was like Steve Buscemi as Ryle. Like,
yeah.
I think I have that guy correct. You would have thought it was Rob Schneider as Lily. Like it was Adam Sandler and pals. Like, It Ends With Us.
Oh God.
I was fine with it. I was like, you know what, Blake Lively, I can get with that. Like, I'm not gonna complain about Blake Lively being in a movie. That's when I knew, like, oh, okay, cool. They're kind of working with like a good budget here.
Yeah.
Justin Baldoni, love him, and Brendan Sklenar. I don't know him, but
Sklenar.
Don't know him, but I mean, hey, handsome guy.
Yep.
So I was like, I can't complain. But yeah, and then I'm telling you, like, people were posting like shots of them filming, and I will say, wardrobe in the movie was crazy, but not ridiculous. Like, it didn't steal from the acting and from the movie itself. Like, when you're just looking at like stills from a movie, like, people were mad about that. So finally the movie comes out, and the movie was good. Like, I enjoyed it. I walked away thinking like that was a very good adaptation. They changed things, but they didn't change anything that took away from the film.
Yeah.
I think it got the point across. I think the main point of the film is to bring awareness to domestic violence and to kind of show you how it's not black and white, and how sometimes, you know, you have to think, why do, you know, on the surface level, why do people stay? But when you think about it deeper, it's like, why do men do this? Why? What causes a relationship to become this? Gosh, and I just feel like the drama that came out kind of took away from that.
Yeah.
You know, because it became Blake versus Justin Baldoni. It became everybody versus Justin Baldoni.
Yeah.
And it started with the fact that they didn't do any press together.
Yeah.
I like insane.
When that first started happening, because like all the press that I was seeing was like interviews with the cast, and then interview with Justin Baldoni, like, because he was on like Good Morning America or whatever. He was on like a whole bunch of different things. And like in my head at first, I was like, it's not uncommon for a director to go do press on their own, but it is very uncommon for them not to do a single thing with the actors
together. Yeah. No, and I saw people saying like, oh, it's because they don't want to romanticize Ryle and Lily. They don't want to romanticize Ryle and Lily. That's why they're keeping them separate, so that you can see that it's two separate things. But like, okay, not one thing. Like, they started doing like red carpets and just not one
photo
overlap, like not one full staff photo of them completely on opposite sides, just nothing.
Yeah, that was a bit crazy. And like, it was sad too, because like it started off with a lot of people disliking Justin Baldoni for that. Like, they were coming up with excuses as to like, why is he, like, he clearly did something wrong, which is why nobody's with him. But when they started, like, when the news started coming out about like certain things that happened on set, where they were saying like he was like overline abusive, or he was fat shaming Blake Lively. Yeah. And like, oh, it was like okay, like that's a bit much. And then like in regards to like he clearly did something, that was my initial thought. And then they started showing like, well, I don't know who released it. I don't know why they would release this, where they were saying it was the where he had asked Blake Lively about like, or not, he didn't ask her, he asked his trainer pretty much like, how much did she weigh? So
how much she weighs, so that he can properly lift her for a scene, because he has a bad back. Yeah,
which like that, in my opinion, like I don't see that as fat shaming. It really just depends on how you delivered it. But like, if he didn't ask her directly,
especially if he went through like a third party person, I think it would have been even more strange if he had just been like, hey, how much do you weigh? Like, but yeah, and I will say, like, as somebody who, I don't like actively follow Justin Baldoni and everything he does, he has a reputation of being like a really good person. Like, he has a podcast where he talks about like toxic masculinity, and he's very aware of like he's just a naturally very cautious person. And the last movie that he directed was 5 Feet Apart.
Oh, I've seen that one. I didn't even know he did that.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, and like, it was a big deal that because he has a production company. So
yeah, I know that he has the rights to this book. So
yeah, like he opted for it, like he fought for it, and so this being, I think this is his second movie, it was very apparent that he was like trying to treat it with as much caution as possible, which is what he did with 5 Feet Apart. Like, he brought in people who had cystic fibrosis.
Yeah, I don't know the disease that they have, but yeah, that, like, I know what
I think it is. I think that is what it is. Just so that he made sure that he was like treating the movie with respect, treating everything with respect, which is what he tried to do with It Ends With Us. And I feel like he was very vocal the whole time about how he was trying to push the message And I think people noticed that too, that everything Justin was doing was very much, focused on the issue at hand, which is domestic violence. Whereas on the other hand, you had Blake Lively and Colleen Hoover kind of branding it as like a rom-com.
Yeah.
I saw like the TikTok where they're like, grab your girlfriends, grab your florals, and head on down to watch the movie. Like that doesn't, if I didn't know what the movie was about, I would think like, ooh, fun little movie, like let me watch. And I would get in there and I'd be traumatized.
Yeah. And there was an article saying like the fact that like they didn't do a good enough job like warning audiences about what's gonna happen.
No,
I was like, just like if you look at the interviews compared to like the cast and then Justin Baldoni, he's like he was literally telling you what the movie's about. They're kind of not. So
yeah, no. And then I saw that she had, and I don't dislike Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. I think maybe they just, everything felt a little out of touch.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're not in touch, like nor will they ever be. Like they're obviously like big stars.
Yeah.
So I feel like they were promoting they did promotions like with Ryan Reynolds and
Hugh Jackman.
And it's like, okay,
and Ryan's mom.
Yes, like first of all, this is not Barbenheimer.
That was weird.
Y'all released like 2 different weekends.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just felt very overlap. And again, they're married, so like it's gonna be overlapping. But like 2 completely different movies. Like and then she promoted she's a hair care brand.
Yeah, I saw that.
She was promoting her hair care brand, which I thought was odd because her hair is it's not great, but it's not like I didn't watch the movie and be like, oh, I need that hair. Like,
yeah.
Definitely wasn't even thinking about her hair in the movie. And yeah, it just felt very like surface level. She did interviews where, the answers were also very lighthearted, and she was dodging questions. It was so weird how different the 2 sides seemed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they never changed it. Like it never, like obviously everybody knew about the drama, but nothing changed. Like everybody was like, okay, now y'all have to deal with it and come together, which makes me think that it's really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's like some stuff that is like, it's like one of those things where it's like we may never know the exact like situation or like what exactly happened.
And I need to know. I live for knowing things.
Yeah. It's definitely like the curiosity has definitely like gone up a lot more, especially from everyone else, because now people are like coming up with stories where they're like trying to defend Blake Lively, they're trying to defend Justin Baldoni. Like there's just different things that we just don't know the exact answers to that I kind of wish that we did. But it's one of those things where like it's not good for anybody when stuff like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
And like
I saw an interview that he did where, because there is a sequel to this book.
Yeah.
And the sequel has all the same characters. I will say it's obviously more Atlas and Lily and their love story, with Ryle being kind of like that in and out character. Mm-hmm. And they asked Justin Baldoni if he would direct it, and he kind of said like, no, I think there's someone better for the job. I think Blake's ready to direct. Mm-hmm. And that, I feel like that feeds the fire of like, oh, he was steamrolled, or her and Ryan kind of took over and they had these big opinions.
Yeah, because she was a producer as well, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, she had a lot of say in one. And then we hear about the different versions where it's like the Blake's version, the Justin Baldoni's version. It's turning into freaking Justice League with Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers again. With the different cuts. I was like,
right. Everyone's like, well, what cut made it to the
film? Like, so like in my head, I was like, I already went through this with the Zack Snyder stuff. Like, I don't want to do this with another one, man. That was a long couple years. I was part of that. It was
just, and like everybody unfollowed Justin Baldoni.
Mm-hmm. But he still follows them.
Yes, and then people were like, okay, well, obviously they're gonna unfollow Justin, like, and be on Blake's side. Blake is the star, like,
yeah.
And they're probably all thinking, like, I feel like everyone was saying, like, well, do you want to be in the sequel or not? Like, you should probably be nice to Blake because she's probably gonna be
the director and producer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I feel like a lot of the defending of Blake is taking place. Because and there's nothing wrong with it if you want to continue, the sequel. If you want the job and everything, there's nothing wrong with you defending the future director, possibly.
Yeah.
It's like you do what you need to do to continue working. That's pretty much what it has to be. But just don't drag someone that maybe didn't do anything.
No, and the amount of oh my gosh, there's just been so much. I saw an article that was well, Ryan and Blake wanted Blake to get an Oscar nod, so they poured all this money into the movie so they could make it perfect. And in my head, I'm like, okay, Blake Lively's not getting an Oscar. Come on, let's be super serious for 2 seconds.
Let's be realistic.
She's a great actress, but she's not getting an Oscar. I'm so sorry. What? Mm-hmm. That can't be true. That can't be what you guys are thinking. She's not getting an Oscar on a Colleen Hoover book adaptation movie.
Okay, how crazy would it be if Justin Baldoni got an Oscar nod?
Honestly, maybe not for best director, but for best actor. Mm-hmm. I don't know what movies have come out this year.
Deadpool, Wolverine.
That's not getting an Oscar. Isaiah, let's be super serious.
Dune Part 2.
Dude, oh yeah, Timothy
Shamalama Bing Bong.
Yeah, and there's no male roles in Wicked, so that's wide open.
I actually can't think of all the movies that came out this year for some reason. It feels.
Oh my gosh, this has been a year for media.
Yeah.
And I everybody who listens to me, I let them know this has been the best year for everything, TV shows, music, movies. Wicked hasn't even come out yet, and I already know that's going to be amazing.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. It's been a fun little conversation with Jaci, and I hope all those that did watch the movie, or I would assume you did not listen to the whole episode if you hadn't watched the movie, because that would be an interesting choice. But let us know what y'all thought about it, and let us know where you stand in regards to the drama, because I want to know everything, and so does Jaci. And if you hear anything else, let us know.
But love opinions. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming, and I'm excited to see you more as well. And cue the outro music.